Yeah, now Keir Starmer's hanging on, of course, hanging on to the Prime Ministership. You would have thought if Labor get in much more strife, obviously what happens is they change leader and have a new Prime Minister firstly. Surely they wouldn't be rushing off to the polls themselves. By what sort of series of events you think could, what are the possibilities that could lead to an earlier election?
Well, there's no doubt that Sir Keir Starmer is in a lot of trouble, and he had threats to his premiership last week. But that seems to have calmed down for the moment, Chris. But you've been in the around the political arena a long time. You would know this far better than me. But these things can erupt pretty quickly again, and often they subside and then they flare up again. So there are expectations that he could get rolled by his cabinet. But at the moment, they've come out in support of him. There are upcoming elections in Scotland and Wales in May, and the results of those will be very interesting. And there's also a by-election in a few weeks, which is critical here in the UK. So depending on those results, if they do poorly, I suspect his, Labor MPs may look to move him on.
Yeah, some more stormy seas ahead for sure. Let me go to Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew. What do they call him now? Andrew Windsor Mountbatten. The statement's been made that even though he's a former royal, he is not above the law. The UK's Director of Prosecution, Stephen Parkinson, says nobody is above the law. It's my job to enforce the law, and I do so without fear or favour, and that is unaffected by the status of the individual concerned. Fascinating situation, Sophie. Is there a realistic chance that the former prince could face some sort of charges in the UK?
Well, the latest allegations levelled against him, Chris, are that he was taking part in alleged misconduct while he was the UK's trade envoy. Now, these are very serious allegations. And yes, he would face the full force of the law if that is the case, if they interview people who were working in and around him at the time. And there is intense pressure here in the UK that he must be held to account. Just because he's a member of the royal family does not mean that he is protected, or should not mean that he's protected. So there is a lot of pressure here in the UK, and it's very damaging, Chris, for the royal family. There was a poll out just last week showing that support for the royal family is falling here in the UK. It's down to about 50%, and it's usually far higher than that. So there's a lot of momentum here in the UK that something must be done. And Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, who's always denied any wrongdoing, should be held to account.
Just very quickly, Sophie, perhaps with Keir Starmer looking for a political win, he's looking to these social media ban, Australian-style laws that have been very popular here, and it looks like the UK might rush something through.
That's right. He's come out overnight, Chris, and he said that basically they want to act very swiftly to enforce potentially an age limit here, similar to Australia, to protect younger kids online and also preserving information of a young child if they die and it's believed that they've used social media in the lead up to their death, to preserve their information of what they were looking at and protecting them from relentless scrolling, Chris. These are pretty strong measures, but they are looking over here, over to Australia, should I say, watching very closely, and looks like they'll do the same.
Yeah, we'll get some more on that with you next week, I think, Sophie. Thanks so much for joining us.